everyone, welcome to Online Makeup Classes by Makeup by Kendra Lee. I'm Kendra Lee, and today we're going to be talking all things highlighting and contouring. Clearly, I already have most of my makeup done. Those are actually other classes that you can check out here online at my website, www.kendraleemakeup.com. You can access those there. Alrighty, so to start off with highlighting and contouring, I am going to be using the JCat Beauty Cream Contour Palette. This is a quad. It has the highlight, contour. Obviously, you can tell I've been using this quite a bit. So to start off, I'm going to go into the contour shade that works best for me, which is this one down here. And I'm going to take that on a small brush so that I can be very precise, which looks like this. And I'm gonna take that. And with contouring, it's not really a one size fits all. However, there is general things that you can do that work well for most people. So when you're looking for your contour area to place, you wanna think of an invisible line going from the top of your ear down to the corner of your mouth. That's where your cheekbones are at. You don't want to draw that much. I like to start at the back of my face and my hairline and bring a line to about where the corner of my eye meets the line. So apply a line right there. Same thing on the other side, from the hairline down to about where the corner of our eye would meet this. Just like that. Now we're gonna take our foundation brush or a sponge, whatever you wanna take. I'm gonna take a flat top kabuki brush and we're going to blend this, starting with the brush being on the line. You're going to blend upwards. You don't want to blend downwards because all that's going to do is drag your contour down and make it look like your face is sagging. So I like to blend this upwards. You can use a patting motion upwards. You can use a sweeping motion upwards, but I like to blend up and then making sure it is blended back into the hairline. Just like that. So you can see that added a nice soft dimension to my face. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. Just blending upwards and outwards. Depending on your face shape, you may need to make a couple adjustments. So for most people consider the perfect face shape to be an oval face shape. So for me, I have more of a squared off forehead and a little bit more of a rounder cheek. So that's why I like to bring the contour in my cheekbones to help balance that out. If you see me looking over here, I'm looking at the mirror, so I apologize for that. So once that's all nice and blended, I like to take the contour shade one more time on that same brush. I'm going to place that right here on my forehead. And basically what I'm trying to do is almost round out my forehead since it does kind of square off. If you don't have a square forehead, you don't have to do this. But again, you want to look at your face in a mirror and find out what you could do to your face to make it look more oval. If you're trying to go for a more perfected look, that's what you're gonna want to do. So for me, I like to do almost like a full halo around my eyebrows or around my forehead. And I'm gonna take the same brush, and this time we're gonna blend it upwards and outwards to the hairline, making sure to really get it in the hairline, because if you don't, you're gonna look like you're wearing a mask. And that is not the effect that we're going for. And then once that's nice and blended, I like to go along the base of that contour and just pat out the edges to make sure there's no harsh lines. To help soften my squared off forehead. And you can see it's nicely blended up into the hairline, just like that. If you want to do a little bit more of an intense look, you can take a teeny bit more contour in a darker shade. So I'm going to take a little bit of this shade and apply that in my cheekbones. I'm using a very thin line because I don't want to do a whole lot. But this will help give you a little bit more sculpted look to your face. We're going to do that. And then we're going to blend that out with the same brush, blending upwards and outwards. I think if you're a beginner, starting with creams is your best bet because it's a little bit easier to work with. They're a little easier to blend than a powder, but it's totally up to you. I would just try them out first before a powder just to see how you like it. Alrighty, so we're looking nice and blended. Now let's do a little work on the nose. And again, it's kind of not a one size fits all type of thing. However, I can show you the general idea. Take the not so dark contour shade, just a little bit of this. And with nose contouring, you want to use very, very little product because it can look very muddy very quickly. So all you're going to do, for me, I'm going to take this right on the side of the bridge of my nose, just to kind of define it a little bit more. Just like that. You can bring it up into your eyebrows a little bit if you wanted to, just to kind of help define that as well. And this is not a one size fits all, but this is a pretty generic contour that works for most people. And all you're gonna do is take your brush and blend it downwards. So you're going like down your nose and down the sides. Making sure that it's nice and blended, just like that. Now we are going to highlight, and for that I'm gonna just use my concealer. You could use a highlight shade or the shade in this that's specifically for highlighting. I'm out of that currently. So I'm just going to use my concealer. This is a little bit lighter of a shade. You want to go about a shade or two lighter for your highlight. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to place this anywhere that we want our features to be brought out. So for me, I'm going to put this down the center of my nose. I'm going to bring this under my eyes right here. Same thing on the other side. We're going to bring this under our eyes right here. On our cheekbones. Bring it on this part of my chin. Because for me that divots in a little bit. And then also to help bring out the contour a little bit, I like to take this right under where we placed our contour shade. And this is going to help clean it up a little bit and make it look a little bit more precise. Do a teeny bit right on the center of my forehead. But again, anywhere you really want to bring out your features or brighten your features, this is where we're going to want to put the highlight shade. So I'm going to take the same brush, and with the highlight underneath, I am going to blend this downwards and side to side. I'm going to tap over my chin. And then same thing on this side for the highlight. We're going to blend this downwards. You don't want to blend the highlight upwards because that's just going to ruin your contour. And then side to side. Blending up under the eyes. I like to pat this out under the eyes. Blending upward into that forehead contour that we did. And then down the nose, I'm gonna take the brush and just pat this straight up the nose and down the nose. Just like that. You can see that helped brighten everything up a little bit and help intensify those contours. If you want, you can go over with your brush just to make sure there's no harsh lines, but pretty much we're looking good. So if you guys wanted to intensify this a little bit, you can use a little bit of a powder contour. So we're gonna go into this one from Mellow, and we're gonna use a little tapered brush like this. We're gonna take just the tips of the brush into that contour shade, making sure to tap off the excess, and then we're just going to run this over where we placed our contour, blending upwards. You want to be sure to use more of a cool tone shade because shadows are gray, they're not orange. So again, doing the same thing over here, placing that right where we placed our cream contour, blending that upwards. Just like that. You can take a little bit on the forehead. The forehead, I would say I wouldn't really intensify a whole lot unless you're maybe a little darker than me. But for me, it can go a little muddy. So we're gonna be very, very light-handed on that. And then to add a little bit of color back to our face, I know that this isn't really highlighting and contouring, but kind of just to finish off the complexion, I'm going to take a little bit of blush, and I'm going to place that on my brush, tap off the excess, and I'm going to pat this on from the back of my cheek, moving forward, and then blending backwards. Making sure that gets nice and blended into the hairline as well. Same thing on the other side. Just tapping that forwards and then blending that backwards. Then we can add a little bit of highlighter, which is different from highlight because it's more of a satin or shimmery finished powder that helps add more of a gleam to your skin. So I'm going to take this shade right here on the same brush, just using the tips, tapping that off, and then right on our cheekbones, I like to place that. Not going too far in with that shade, I like to go from right where the corner of my eye is, blending that outwards to the hairline, and then upwards in a circle. Just like that. So you get that nice little glow going on. Do the same thing on the other side. Just like that. And then you could take a little bit if you want to on the nose, Cupid's bow right here, and a bit on your chin if you wanted to. And then I like to take the brush and just blend over the blush and the highlight just to make sure that it doesn't look like a streak on the face. It shouldn't, but sometimes it can. And that is the finished look. So that is how to highlight and contour. I hope you guys were able to figure out some nice, helpful tips, and I hope that you were able to practice this and perfect it. If you guys have any questions, feel free to email me at kedgerlymakeup@gmail.com and I will be sure to answer back. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Stay fierce.